see everybody. I would like for our speakers, if you would please silence yourself at this time. Anna's gonna open us in prayer. There you go.
As I pray in my faith, I invite you to pray in yours. Please join me. Father, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for the Rotarians that are here and be with those that couldn't be with us. We all have a lot to be thankful for, and sometimes we take it for granted. So the ability to meet where and when we want to, and the ability to spend time with people we want to spend time with, the ability to be Rotarians and to give back to our community. Thank you for these gifts. Thank you for the willingness of all those in this club who are willing to serve. Again, thank you for this food, for all the many blessings, and as always, ask for good health and safe travel. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets wrecked there, the bombs bursting in air. They through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So if you'll join with me as we recite the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
I'm going to turn it over to Brian here.
Are we sitting down? Yes, we can sit
Hi, my name is Michael Reynolds. I'm visiting Rotarian from Durango, Colorado, in the Durango High Noon Club. My wife and I my wife's originally from here, and we're back visiting for some family events, and possibly spending time here from now on. So, looking forward to visiting in your club.
My friend and everyone else's friend, Congressman Joe Wilson.
Grateful to be here. Wish everybody well. And I was really grateful last week to be at the Rotary International event in Washington. And the new president, or I came by, and I was just really grateful. It made me feel good. When I went to the reception, they said, "Hey, you're the only person that comes every year." That's what Martin Clausen told me to do. Thank you.
Any other visiting Rotarians?
Wait, not Rotarians.
All right, any visitors?
There's lots of introductions at this table. These are our two speakers. This is Jenny Horn with Stantec, and her colleague David Taylor. He's in the Columbia office. Jenny's in the Charleston office, and then this is Todd Martin with the City of Columbia Landscape Architect. We'll have more formal introductions in just a few minutes.
Any other visitors? Just take a moment, Joe. I'm always glad when you're here, but I want to thank all the leaders of our country on both sides, and for all of our military deployed and not deployed. So be thinking about them. That's part of what we do in Rotary, is to help build better relationships, and we need to build bridges. So Joe, glad you're here, always there.
Thank you, Brian. For everybody that's here today as a visitor or visiting Rotary, I'm excited you're here. You're going to see obviously it's kind of a small part of what we do at Rotary today, and we'd love to come back next week. So with that, I'm gonna, I got one more thing, and then I'll turn it over to Mike for Health and Happiness. Just, a note on the bylaws change that we're gonna propose. It's to allow former presidents to be on the board and eventually serve as president again if they're still elected. We're not gonna do that today. We have to do a 10-day notice, written notice, so that's gonna go out probably today or tomorrow. And we'll vote, the first time we meet in June, I think it's, 6 or something like that. Yeah. June 1st. Okay, there you go. Thank you. So now, Mike, the show is yours.
Thank you. I'm getting to know everybody in the Rotary here. One thing you'll learn about me is I hate losing. I tell my daughters when they were 2 years old, I played with Tiddlywinks, playing to win. So there was a goal set before I even became a member of this Rotary. It was for the CART funds. Everybody sees on the table, the CART fund buckets. It's for Alzheimer's research. There's a lot of good. Everybody's involved. First time last year, Alzheimer's hit 7.5 million Americans over 65. It's the first time ever. 2/3 of those women. First time ever, if you add up prostate and breast cancer, more people die of Alzheimer's. It's the fifth leading cause of death for 65 years and older. So there's a lot of work to be done here. I did the numbers. I'm a number person. You appreciate this. So I said, well, what if we break that down? We're short. If we average about 50 people, that's $7.50 per person, and we reach our goal. $7.50. So I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. I'm putting 10 in today. But I broke it down to bucket. If you hit $33 per bucket per meeting, you reach our goal. I got a quote from Babe Ruth that says, "You can't beat somebody who never gives up." I'm gonna change it. You can't lose if you don't give up. So let's don't give up. Let's keep adding the buckets and let's reach our goals. Okay?
Thanks, Lynn. I'm going to ask Lynn to come up. We've got a few inductions we're going to do, so Lynn's going to be master of the ceremony for that. Thank you, Lynn.
Well, I can attest to the fact that Mike doesn't like to lose, because apparently I took his seat this morning and you got some mad about it. So, sorry about that, Mike. I'll leave that seat for you next time. So this is one of my favorite days as a Rotarian, because we get to induct new members. And obviously, if you're not inducting new members, then you're not growing as a club. So I'm really excited to induct new members. I feel like that's kind of become my job now that I'm one of the past presidents, is to induct new members. So I'm real happy when it comes down time to induct new members, because I get to get back up here and induct some new members, so just like the old days. So I would like to call our new members. So it's Adam Campbell, Rebecca Willoughby, William Crouch, Stanley Pritchett Sr., and Dupree Percival will all come up and just come up here to the front in no particular order. And I'll talk a little bit about each of you and then induct you into Rotary. So today is a special day for the Rotary Club of Columbia, South Carolina, because we have the opportunity to welcome not just one, but 5 new outstanding members to our Rotary family. Each of you brings something unique, different experiences, talents, and perspectives, but what you all share is a commitment to your profession, your community, and to making a difference, and that's what Rotary is all about. Let me take a moment to recognize each of you. As I say your name, you could just step out front a little bit. So the first person I'm going to introduce is Adam Campbell. Adam works with First Bank and has built a reputation as someone people trust and genuinely enjoy working with. Adam is a 2009 graduate of Virginia Tech with a bachelor's degree in finance and financial planning. Adam has a steady relationship-first approach that really matters in both business and in a community like ours. Outside of work, he enjoys sports, time with family, and staying active, the kind of balance that keeps you grounded and connected. He has a wife named Angela and a 3-year-old daughter named Grayson. Adam, we're glad to have you here as one of our newest members. The next person I'm going to introduce is Rebecca Spence Willoughby. Rebecca also comes to us from First Bank, and for a couple of years now, and I've had the pleasure of meeting her when she was with the Columbia Chamber of Commerce. And Rebecca attended USC and has a Bachelor of Arts degree in Mass Communications. Rebecca is very, very recently married to Josh Willoughby, who owns both Market on Main, I'm going to give a plug for that, and the brand new Market on Moorhead in Charlotte. So welcome, Rebecca, and it's good to have you. William Crouch, if you'll step forward, please. William is a premier relationship banker with First Citizens Bank and a graduate of Wofford College, where he studied finance and Spanish. He's been involved with Junior Achievement of South Carolina and Capture Columbia, which tells you a lot about his heart for mentoring and giving back. Outside of work, William enjoys staying active and engaged in the community, and he brings a thoughtful, resource-minded approach that fits Rotary very well. Welcome to Columbia Rotary, William. Our next member is Dr. Stanley J. Pritchett, Sr. Dr. Pritchett is the current interim president at Allen University. He has dedicated his career to education, leadership, and developing others. He also brings a depth of experience and perspective that's going to benefit us. Dr. Pritchett is a former member of the Rotary Club of Tucker and attended school at Albany State University, where he received his bachelor's degree, Georgia State University, where he received his master's degree, and Clark Atlanta University, where he received his doctorate degree. Beyond his academic and professional accomplishments, he's someone who truly believes in investing in people, whether it's students, colleagues, or the broader community. It's also an honor to have you with us, Dr. Pritchett. And last, but certainly not least, Dupree Percival will step forward. Dupree is the owner of Dupree Catering Events, where we are here today. He's built a business around bringing people together, and anyone who knows you knows that that's not just a business, that's who you are. Dupree, like another great Rotarian of ours, Jimmy Derrick, is a graduate of Eau Claire High School. And also like Jimmy Derrick, he attended college at USC. I don't think he's been married as many times as Jimmy has. That's neither here nor there. So Dupree is also a resident of Irmo. Dupree is deeply involved in the community, including attending St. John's Lutheran Church, and he's got a natural gift for hospitality and connection. Whether it's a big event or a simple gathering, Dupree likes to make people feel welcome, and that's exactly what Rotary is all about. So also, welcome to you. Welcome to Columbia Rotary, Dupree. I know Grant Davidson did most of the recruiting for these members, but she's not going to be here today. So if you could pin it on, and Jonathan Jeffcoat is William Crouch's sponsor. So if you could come up, Jonathan, and put a pin on him. And so to each of you, you're not just joining this club because the people in this room believe in who you are. Not just what you do professionally, but how you show up, how you lead, and how you serve others. As Rotarians, you become both contributors and ambassadors, sharing your knowledge within this club and carrying Rotary's values of service, integrity, and fellowship into your everyday lives. We believe you're going to make the club stronger, and we hope this becomes a place where you feel inspired, supported, and connected, surrounded by people who challenge you to grow and serve in many ways. And remember, you're not just joining Columbia Rotary, you're joining a global network. So wherever you go, there are Rotarians ready to welcome you, as we found out today with the gentleman here from out of town as well. The connection is powerful, and now it's yours. With this honor comes responsibility to show up, get involved, and use your talents to help make the community better. People will see Rotary through you, and we are confident you will represent us well. Now I would like for all of our members, if able, to please rise. It is my sincere pleasure, on behalf of the Columbia Rotary Club of South Carolina, to officially welcome Adam Campbell, Rebecca Spence-Willoughby, William Crouch, Dr. Stanley Pritchett, and Dupree Percival as our newest members. I now invite your sponsors to place the Rotary emblem on your lapels. Fellow Rotarians, this is what Rotary looks like: leadership, service, community. Please join in giving our newest members a big standing Columbia Rotary ovation.
And I will tell you that getting those things out of the bag and pinning them is part of the fix. So we're glad, like Glenn said, we're glad to have y'all members. and excited that, we're all coming together, maybe make a big class, and do a lot of great things, as Glenn probably said. Please get involved. Don't wait for somebody to reach out to them. We'll probably ask each of y'all to be agreed within the first couple of months. So you'll hear from folks about grading them. We can let you know who the committee chairs are. Join the committee. Margaret Clarkson got me involved in the Bocce Bash committee my second year here, and her first year as chair. She chaired for 2 years. I chaired for 2 years. And then I got Kelly to do it for 2 years. So anyway, get involved, and I think you'll get a lot more out of it if you do. So now I'm actually going to introduce Margaret. Have her come up and introduce our speakers.
So we don't often have 2 speakers that are just wildly qualified. This is like so tall. Well, wait a minute. Jen, it would be good for Jenny. Okay, all right, this is good. This is good. Okay, we have 2 speakers. I'm super excited. The first speaker, well, actually, they're a duo. It's Todd Martin, who's an landscape architect for the city, and then Jenny Horn, who is with Stantec. And they're going to talk a lot more about Finley Park. But I'm going to just read their bios and then just say a couple little things about my passion and why we are super excited about them speaking. Y'all know I work for LS3P, the architect, and we got to team with Stantec on this incredible project. So this is a huge passion. Of course, it's been a major thing for the city of Columbia. Can't say enough about that. So let me introduce Todd first. So Todd Martin is the city landscape architect for the city of Columbia. He's a registered landscape architect in South Carolina, holds a Bachelor of Landscape Architect and a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture from the University of Georgia. With 20 years of experience, his career spans private practice in Charlotte, North Carolina, international work in Oslo, Norway, and more than a decade in the public sector with the city of Columbia. Todd is committed to creating sustainable, innovative public spaces that strengthen communities and enhance the quality of life across the city. Now, I can tell you, if Todd had been with me last week, and I wouldn't have had to clear all that wisteria out of my garden that took me all afternoon to do. Now, let me introduce Jenny, because Jenny's very special, and Jenny worked with our office leader for years, who's Alan Taylor, so Jenny holds a very special place in our heart also. Jenny is Principal Landscape Architect with Stantec Consulting Services. With nearly 3 decades of experience, Jenny Horn has built a distinguished career as a registered landscape architect, currently serving as principal with Stantec Consulting Services in North Charleston. Licensed in both South Carolina and Louisiana, holding a Bachelor of Landscape Architecture from the University of Georgia. Jenny has consistently demonstrated her expertise and commitment to excellence in every project she undertakes. Throughout her 29 years in the field, Jenny has guided a diverse array of projects for federal, state, and local agencies, as well as municipalities, institutional clients, and private developers. Her leadership and vision are evident in notable work such as the revitalization of Finley Park in Columbia, the transformation of Hutchison Square Park in Somerville, the development of Florence Veterans Memorial Park in Florence, and Summers Corner, a sustainable community in Dorchester County. Jenny's long-standing dedication to the landscape architecture has left an indelible mark on communities across the region and enhancing public spaces and enriching the lives of those who enjoy them. So welcome both of y'all, but let me just say a couple little tiny things. First of all, both of these guys went to University of Georgia, so I have got a little gift that I pulled out of my Goodwill box this morning because this was going to Goodwill. So you two are going to have to duke it out about who gets that lovely, lovely token that I'm leaving for y'all to figure it out on the podium. So Stantec, the way that our business works is you have a lead architect and then you have architects that support lead architects. So Stantec was the lead architect on the Finley Park project led by Todd Martin, and then LS3P supported that. Mashburn was the construction. And if you remember, the design on this was 18 months and the construction was 2.5 years. So it's a huge project. It's an amazing, amazing project for the city of Columbia. And I don't wanna take any more away, except for say one thing. The Columbia Historic awarded Finley Park the Preservation Revitalization Award, Leadership Awards, last week, so yay. With that, I'm gonna invite you both up as speaker, and I'm gonna leave this meeting.
Okay.
Can they also hear us if we talk?
Thank you for having us on this project, My Labor of Love. For over a decade, Virginia and I, we worked on it, and we're excited to share a little bit of that story with you today, walk you through that process. We're going to go over the history, we're going to get into the community-driven goals, talk about our design response and some of the construction journey, and then we're going to finalize it with the program and the operations. If you're new to Columbia, you can see that Finley Park's in the heart of the city, a block from Main Street, 18 acres of green space in the Congaree Vista District. And a little bit about the history. It dates back to the 1850s when it was Sydney Park. And back then it was a much different landscape. It was more pastoral, more natural, sweeping hillside down towards the river. And a warden by the name of Sidney Johnson, he took an interest and started planting this landscape, turning what was an eyesore into more of this beautiful park. And it was used way back then, much like it's used today, for events, gathering space. It was a central part for the city of Columbia. And over time, in 1860 and 1865, we had a foundry, a blacksmith, shop, a cotton mill that was established to develop ammunition and yarn stocks for the Civil War. In the Reconstruction era, in 1865 to 1899, it really started to develop with more park-like features such as well paths, fountains, and even a zoo. So a very special space for the city way back in the 1850s. In 1899, under pressure from the railroad, the city decided to lease the land to Seaboard Railroad. And they really started to carve the land out, much of what it's like today. If you see Finley, it looks like it's a bowl to this very dramatic hillside. And that's because it was shaped to this railroad. And it became an eyesore for about the next 90 years, outside of the post office coming and developing on the corner of Assembly and Taylor. There wasn't much to look at. They actually went into the federal government at that time, actually went into building a parking deck in the park. But luckily, Mayor Finley had a much bigger vision for the space. That's what she was talking about.
So everybody can hear me with this one. So Mayor Finley in the early 80s, mid 80s, had a vision of downtown Columbia and brought in a landscape architect by the name of Robert Marvin to help him create and expand that vision. So back in the 80s, Robert Marvin in his office studied with Mayor Finley about 60 blocks of what is the Congaree Vista Master Plan. And so with those 60 blocks, it was a vision to revitalize the downtown part and area of Columbia, or today what we know as the Vista, but it also included Finley Park and then edges out to the Congaree River. And also to note, Robert Marvin, in looking at the master plan, his idea with that master plan was to link and connect the residents and visitors alike to the Vista area, and to link them through open spaces and parks from Finley to the Vista to the river. After the vision was started, there were plans for Finley Park that Mr. Marvin and his team developed. And toward the end of the 1980s, new mayor was elected, Mayor Adams, who saw the vision and the importance of the revitalization of Finley with the capital funding to get what everyone, we've heard stories in the 90s of Hootie and the Blowfish coming and performing at Finley Park. Like, it was a true success and everybody embraced the park. I hear even from my own staff, to tell my age a little bit, I was starting college in the early 90s. My staff were still in grade school and going on school visits, and they talk about the playground at Finley Park and how intrigued, or just how fun it was, because it was built on a hillside at the foot of the ranger station. So outside of the experience of the water feature and the iconic spiral that brought that kind of element to the park, and then the events, there was a lot of buzz and activity and excitement with Finley Park in the early 90s. And hopefully this will play for us.
Accidentally, and I say it's one of the greatest blessings we have, next to the capital of our state, we have 300 acres of land that is going to develop. The only question is not will it develop, the question is how is it going to develop, and what should Congaree Vista be?
How does the city revitalize a district and at the same time preserve its history and character? In 1982, the city of Columbia formed the Columbia Development Corporation to do just that in the Congaree Vista.
Where many cities are centered around transportation, typically a river or harbor, the three rivers that join at Columbia are shallow, rocky, and were impassable by water until 1825. Industrial and transportation-oriented development remained in the less desirable river district. Even the prison was built in this useless area. As the cotton and textile industry's heavy investment in the riverfront area began to decline and leave, the area near the Congaree declined still further. Columbia's riverfront became an undesirable warehouse district, and many nearby residents actually began to move away.
It's hard to believe that this is just across the street from the governor's mansion of the state of South Carolina. It's sort of ironic, really, but this area, once filled with fine homes, has fallen into disrepair because of the influence of the rocky, shallow waters of the Congaree and the historic technical advances of the canal. But the times are changing.
Mayor Kirk Finley and other city leaders saw the potential in the blocks that lay between downtown and the river. The Columbia Development Corporation provided the imaginative solutions to realize that potential.
This is 18 acres, 1.5 blocks from Main Street, which is where Sydney Park used to be. We are going to have a ramp that comes around the end of this wall, sweeps around the side, that'll be designed exactly like the Congaree Road. And Columbia, through Congaree Vista now, has an opportunity to develop almost 300 acres.
Sydney Park will be a big part of the evidence of the city's commitment to making the dream of Congaree Vista a tangible reality.
So, we're going to fast forward from 1990 to where we are today. So, when Todd and I started this master plan process, it was 2013, 2014, I believe, and I first visited Finley Park in 2010, 2011, and I was urged to go, explore Finley Park to get kind of a feel for what was happening at Finley. And some of the first things that popped out at me were, especially the ADA safety, especially with the railings around the water feature. And as a landscape architect, definitely thinking about safety and how we also provide opportunities for the visitors. So that was, one of the first things that popped out. The other thing was some of the maintenance items that were happening, and then looking at the previous plan, what Robert Marvin had provided back in the early 90s. I started to understand maybe some of those maintenance things that were happening, especially with the Laufenstein wall system. So when we met in 2013, 2014 with the city, those items were first and foremost on some of our guidelines and things that we wanted to tackle through the master plan process. How can we improve these items and experiences through the park? And so some of the next things that we're going to talk about are those deterioration items, the safety concerns, ADA accessibility, connectivity, and how the previous plan kind of fragmented the park and did not invite everybody to experience the park holistically. So this is our master plan that is built to date. And some of our project goals are listed up here on the top left, which again, it goes back to increasing accessibility, safety, making sure that we also reintroduce the unique destination playground because it was extremely important with the first master plan. Also providing lots of open space, but not just open space, but connectivity to those open spaces. We wanted the user that visited Finley Park to be able to park or walk from the very top portions of the park up to Laurel and experience and transverse the park all the way down, or do the opposite, enter the park at Taylor and be able to work your way up to the top with an accessible route. And I won't go through all of these, but these were our master plan guidelines and our core principles that the team developed. And then we set on the target to implement these through our design. So this is one of our built photographs, and as most of you may have experienced, is this cantilever walk that goes up under the existing waterfall. And this particular cantilever walk actually provides a connectivity of accessibility. It's something that Todd worked on pretty hard through kind of the break that we had between the master plan and the technical design. And what this cantilever walk does is that it provides us an accessible route from the parking lot to the top of Governor Hill. And it pulls us down to the top of the observation, or what we call the lantern or the nest, with the beautiful view over the skyline of the city. It provides that accessibility, and then it allows the user to walk up under the water feature, experience and touch the water, have views out over the park, and then find their way over to the ranger station and back down to the open spaces at the bottom. This element alone was such a huge improvement to the connectivity of the park itself. And in addition to that, allowed a very safe experience for us to get closer to the water and experience that grotto effect. So during the construction, the grotto was one of the most intensive parts of the construction of this project. That existing Laufenstein wall system that you kind of see clips of it a little bit in this picture and that picture. This one's a good one right here. The technical detailing behind that wall and the structural stability of that wall was so tied to that hillside with cables, like airfield cables. They were like high industrial cables that we could not, the contractor could not break through during construction. So the team had a plan for this going in, and during construction, because we have to be flexible in construction, we had to re-engineer the different way to attach our concrete walls that we were constructing in front of that system. So this whole construction, was extremely interesting. It was interesting to see Mashburn pull it all together. They did a fabulous job with it. And if you speak with Lee over at Mashburn, he was on pins and needles, I think, for several weeks while he was installing this wall. And he was out there daily, making sure that they were placed correctly. The destination playground, again, we didn't want to take away the experience that everybody remembered from the early 1990s. So with our plan, we wanted to re-implement this destination playground along another hillside. And so it took us some time to figure out this was the right spot for this playground, but it too is tucked into that hillside. And what it allowed Todd and the team to do was look at new ways for adults, kids, and the like to experience this play feature. And of course, I know that the most popular, or it seems to be the most popular part of this, is that green slide that's off to the left. And so that's been extremely successful in this playground. But the other thing about this, it goes back to that core guideline of accessibility. This playground too has 3 points of accessibility for all to experience it, at the top, the midpoint, and the bottom. And it gives different options for everyone to play differently within this play structure, and kids of all ages. And I'm talking about as big kids too. And then the building, again, because it's on a hillside, it took a lot of coordination with the contractor. Mashburn did great. They had several different subs working on this and excavating that hillside to be able to place the play feature itself and also the material, the soft surfacing and the grass lawn.
And that's Jenny in the right corner testing the slide.
Right, yeah, oh, and this is the star of the show out at Finley. This particular feature, which was an existing feature because it was a Laufenstein wall system, it was two-tiered, if you remember that. This took our team, and when I say team, it was the city. I was on many calls with Todd and Kenya and Mr. Simons and Gregory, and then our full team of structural, which is Chow and Civitas, LS3P, talking about this one feature. 2 months, I do believe. And early on at our kickoff meeting, we're all sitting around the table trying to go through, well, not trying, but we were going through our guidelines, our mission of the whole entire project, and trying to understand how we were going to provide safety and more lighting out at Finley Park. And around that round table, Civitas, Mark Johnson, threw out, why don't we do this theme of lanterns across Finley Park? And that one idea just took hold in all of us, because what we did is that theme alone became the lantern at the nest and the lanterns with the building. So we've immersed light into those features. So not only do they become iconic with the iconic spiral, but they also provide this flood of light in the park to help us provide that safety element. In addition, to upgrading all of the lighting that's out there at Finley Park. And then on top of that, between the concrete and the nest, which is the metal, it was a great collaboration between all parties to come up with this one design. And I think we're all very proud of this particular feature. And again, just before, well, this is the built Finley Park. This was a graphic that the team did to reflect the concept and the idea of what we wanted the lantern, the nest, to be. Again, some construction photos, again, before the cladding up there at the very top middle picture. You can see the Laufenstein on the bottom. The top was like the typical CMU block that you see in a lot of retaining wall applications. And just some of the process of the construction and how we conceal the lighting behind the concrete panels. again, we could not address the cascade fountains in the iconic spiral. So there was some renovation that went into the grotto area. I don't know if you remember how it was before, but we had a much bigger pool at the grotto that came out and expanded into that much bigger pond and lake. That was reduced in size and scale a bit. We incorporated more connectivity, safer connectivity across those cascades with railings, but made also the pedestrian paths wider. And then we did some minor renovation up into the cascades with some new boulders and just redirection of the water to help us come down and pool at the weir before we go down into the bottom of the lake. Again, just some photos of the revitalization. I will add that the boulder weir wall was also another one of those. We designed it one way in technical design, and when we got to construction, because of existing groundwater and some of the site conditions, we had to think fast, and the solution we came up with worked out fabulously. Some more pictures of how we stabilized around the existing weir. And again, going back to improving connectivity, just connecting the park. And this goes back to making sure that all areas of the park can be experienced by all, and that we have paths and different spaces for being in the park. So everybody has a different reason to be inside of the park, and offering areas of where you can go sit and contemplate or just bask in the sun for a little bit, to experiencing more high energy type activities, making sure we have that connection. Again, just examples of the bridge and pedestrian spaces going across the water feature. Again, it lets you be close to the water, experience the water, but you're experiencing it safer. This particular bridge too across our lake was also another one of those important connectivity pieces, because we were in the master plan triangulating connectivity, and so this particular crossing over the pond allowed people to experience and connect to the whole park differently, versus like wrapping all the way around the pond. It gives you a different point of connection and experience.
Okay, I'll jump in from here. Our next goal was just constructing these new multi-use structures to give us flexibility in how we program the park. This is a structure called the Landing. LS3P did an outstanding job of this building. And as Jenny said, the lantern was one of the first things we designed, that landform, cladding system that we created. But what it did is it gave us a design language that we could create this cohesive design throughout the park. So that lantern helped determine how we would design the landing, the stage, and all the architecture, even the playground in the park. You can see with the architecture, you got the scrim, you got the lighting, and one of my favorite features are these glulam columns that create this abstract chorus that holds up the canopy, just beautiful, and then it's lit up at night to be a lantern. From a functional standpoint, the lantern is where we have park rentals. If you want to get roller skates, which have been very popular, you go to the hospitality office and rent roller skates. Do recreation equipment. John Katz, who runs this, calls it the bad dad area, so if you don't have sunscreen or water, you can get it there. We have restrooms in this facility, ping pong, picnic tables, bistro seating, event tower. It's a very popular space for vendors to come. Like Hendrix, the bus, comes there and sets up a lot, utilizing that power and just creating another space of activation and for the community to enjoy the space. And it's also adjacent to our splash pad, which is opening Saturday. Excited about that. If you look at the upper left-hand corner, you can see the building. It used to be the Jazz Cafe. We revitalized that. The top is a venue for rentals, park rentals. And then the old concession stand was converted to a ranger station. So we took out the old roll-up doors, put in storefront windows. That's where rangers, class 3 police officers are stationed. And then we have cameras throughout the park, and we all go back to that area. There's a screen of monitors for them to monitor the entire park. that Jenny mentioned goes from that space over the waterfall, over the rapids, behind the waterfall, to the overlook plaza. You see the right-hand corner, the Tai Chi class. We imagine having weddings out there, and that connective piece is really important. Roller skating that I mentioned has been very popular at the park, and then little things like event power or food truck power. So we don't have generators throughout the park. You have all these food trucks, and it does take away from the atmosphere when you're in the park. Relocating the stage was a really big move, and determined a lot about how we would design the park. The old stage was projecting noise up into the neighborhood, the adjacent neighborhoods, as you can see. And the new stage is built into the hillside to help buffer that noise and project noise into the center of the city. Doing that is very complicated to put a stage in the center of the park or the hillside, because how are we going to get to it? To set it up for an event. And that's kind of how the oval came to be, a very simple form that you can pull in off a Taylor, wrap around, set up for events, and then pull right out. But that simple form also helped us with activations such as roller skating and a walking path when it's not being used for event setup. And it's been very popular, as you can see, from community concerts to shovels and rope. And can't wait to see it a few weeks from now when we have summer. And the architecture, again, it's off that same design language to get that cohesive look throughout the park, that lantern. You can see the blue and beams, the scrim, the lighting, all very well designed and connected. This is a little bit of the construction when it was coming together. We had to have the shop drawings exactly precise, especially all the angles for those glue line beams, the precast base at the bottom, and then the lighting all had to be just right. But one of the things that we noticed during construction that we didn't notice when we were doing the shop or the mock-ups is they stained the CLT, and we just told them to stop. It's like, just stain the top, do not stain the column, because they were beautiful the way they were. So we did clear coat, but we almost stained the entire thing, and it would have ruined it. Integrated public art was really big. One of the first things we did was work with One Columbia, and we developed this national competition to get art in the park. We wanted sculptures in a strolling garden, and so we had over 64 submissions throughout the country, and we selected the top 8 with the jury. And they're there for 2 years, and we'll redo this and have another competition so we can refresh the park with more sculptures and public art. We also worked with a local mural artist to paint the old playground. That's the original Robert Marvin playground. And now it's a secret garden, quaint seating area, and it's brought to life with this mural that's a forest at dusk with fireflies. Of course, we wanted to bring back Kirkland Finley statue for that. Work with the family to get it relocated right along the lake, looking into the grotto and the waterfall. And then we worked with 8 different local artists to paint turtles, and they are placed throughout the rapids. Funny story is, one of those got stolen a couple of weeks before the grand opening, but with all the surveillance, CPD caught it. We had it back in the week. So it was working. And then we have more art coming. We have a mural that was just completed at the top of the parking lot. We have one we're working on for the playground. And then hope to bring this old phone booth to life in the internet park. Improving connectivity is always important. This is the Vista Greenway. We had that connection that we built in 2014. We were going to maintain that. It takes you from the Vista entry, takes you down the corner of the park into the tunnel to the Elmwood Bridge. We're currently working on 2 routes there. One takes you to more of the Bull Street district, and then one will take you directly to the river, going to Vista Spur, and eventually to right out front to the Convoy waterfront park that we're developing. You can see the roads around Finley are freeways. Another future project is to do more of a street diet, working with SCDOT to make it more narrow street, to have more of a pedestrian-friendly walkways, better connections, and even more parking for the park. So as much as we had to get the design right, we knew if we didn't get the programming and the operations, the project wouldn't work. And we went out and we hired John Katz, who's our Deputy Director of Programming and Operations. He's been a game changer. He's been perfect for this site, has a lot of experience, and he's got a great team that you can see. Another one I want to folks, and he just knows that scene very well. And to have both of them working on this project is a dream scenario. This is our Finley Fridays. If you haven't been, it started in February and will last to the end of October. A free concert every Friday night. It's very popular. We release a new lineup every month for the community to check out. And these are some events. Songbird coming up at the end of the month. We have headlined by Old Crow Medicine Show and Sam Bush. I'm really excited for Sam Birchfield, Americana and Folk Festival. We had our Jazz and Roots this past weekend. I got to attend. It was a great atmosphere, a great time out there. And then in June we'll have Juneteenth. So a lot of diversity in our activation program. Movies in the park, environmental education, and then these fitness programs have been huge. There was a Pilates class last week that had over 200 people show up. It's been great. And this one was something that was really cool. We had some veterans approach us about it becoming a Purple Heart Park. That's the first one in South Carolina. That was a really great honor to receive that. In the park, as Jenny mentioned earlier, it was laid out in a way so it felt open and connected. And we wanted to have a little bit for everyone in the community because we know we had to activate the park, we had to bring the community back out, but we didn't want it to feel cluttered. So we had to carefully lay it out. We even were able to sneak in activities like the pitch and putt, disc golf, in more of a quiet area of the park, going up the hill to the corner of Assembly and Laurel. And then more of the active area of the playground, knowing that area would be super active, we got pickleball, fitness court, just a little bit of something for the entire community. This is a picture you can see how much it changed and also how much we respected and saved. And this is the best part for me, is just going out there and seeing the community full of joy, using the space, hearing families scream and laugh as they go on that hill, and artists show up and start painting, and it's really fun to see that. And that's it. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, guys. We have time for one or two questions. Ann?
I don't have a question, I just want to say this is phenomenal. Y'all are phenomenal for what you've done. And I was raised in Columbia. The first 6 months born in Charleston, lived in Columbia when I was 6 months old. And so it is just incredible what y'all have done. I want to thank you also for making it accessible, because there's so many things that still are not accessible. So because I'm on this scooter where a guy tried to rob me 20 years ago, I really appreciate it. And I'm curious about parking. Where are people parking to get to it?
So we have a park. So we have parking at the top that we maintained. There's parking along the streets. There's parking decks around the park. And then we also, John Katz worked on getting the shuttle set up in the Common. That also helps get people from downtown to the park. And it runs more often during big events. But one thing that we're looking to do to add, especially on Taylor, we have this huge, almost like an expressway. Is making more of a road diet, less lanes, angled parking. We can try to add that as well.
My dad was Archie Hardy. He was one of the developers of the first playground. I appreciate y'all mentioning that so much. One thing that he was extremely proud about was the ADA accessibility to that original playground. And he told me that when it was built, it was the largest accessible playground in the country. When that original playground was built, you could roll up and do. You could even pump the swings with your arms and not with your legs in case you were handicapped and that type of thing. He was very proud of that.
And what's the question to that?
Well, it's not a question. I'm so proud of that. I was so proud of that, but I'm glad that y'all are continuing the accessibility with the new playground equipment as well. That it has the accessibility, you said the 3 different age areas, but also for the different age groups as well.
Yeah, and I never experienced that original playground, but everything that I heard from my staff was that it talked about the equipment, like, whatever the equipment was at that time, because it was nestled and tucked into those, where we have the secret garden now. There were different experiences at different levels, down to grade. So I do know that, and then bringing that back to its new location. We just wanted the same idea of it being into a hillside to be reflected back. We didn't want to take that away from the original design, because it was important at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, Jenny, thank you so much for being here today. Very good. We're excited about Finley Park and what y'all have done. Looks great. I go down that road every day. Fridays when I go home. I rode by there and there's so many people going to the park, so y'all done a great job. Thank you for that. Before we close, William, Dupree, Adam, Stanley, and Rebecca, if y'all come up after the meeting and grab these, somebody forgot to give them to you. Do the new member packets and your badges. And we'll have a new member, fireside chat sometime coming up in the next month or two that we'll ask you to attend. Any new member has to attend. So anyway, great, congratulations. Thank you for joining the club. Our next week's speaker is nobody, because it's Memorial Day, so we're not meeting. So we meet the first weekend, Gene and I have the name of that speaker right here. But with that, we're going to close in song. All right, y'all have a great week. Be safe Memorial Day.